Alright, here's a quick update on trying to debug the two crashes I seem to have. I was still getting a crash before the loading screen, uh, before I could even get through the opening FMV of the game. And like I say, I think it's because there's some kind of overlay process going on, because when I look at the buff out log, it looks like scripts are actually running, but it can't find what it's looking for. So I'm assuming that's because there's some kind of parallel processing going on. Technically, you got reshade. That should freeze everything up until it's compiled. I mean, technically, you could compile those. Um, you could compile those as the game loads. Um, you could do that and then apply the shaders once they're compiled. So you would have a pass-through effect. Basically, you would uh, have a pass-through on your shaders. So you'd have a way of completely ignoring every single shader. So you'd have like basically vanilla. Then as it compiles, it would automatically pass the processing through the individual shaders that you have in a specific order. That could be done. Um, so what I thought is, I'm going to try to take a theory, because I don't really know what it is. So I'm going to try to take a theory and see if I can deduce through trial and error what the cause might be. And again, it's kind of, think about computers and programming and debugging is it it's cause and effect, but oftentimes it's incidental. So you may make a change, and all of a sudden you think, "Wow, that change fixed it because it no longer pops up." But that particular condition didn't apply itself, or it's a race condition where two or three things are running at the same time, accessing the same data, and for some reason that particular time uh, they finished or accessed data at a slightly different time period, and then therefore you have your bug. Um, so what I did, if you notice, if you go up here and take a look, I do have, I kind of I tag these with comments. It makes it easier to look at. I do have crash before loading screen, and if you look at one of these, if you actually look at one of these, you'll see that it's always player comments here, and it's like it's trying to ping. See, it's like hello, and it's gonna do like another hello. So it's like it's trying to. It's like it's the mod office way of trying to say, is something there? Like, is the interface there? Is the player there? And by doing a hello, it if it encounters an error, it looks like it's in a loop actually. Unless this is, that's what this actually looks like to me. This looks like a loop. Um, I don't think this would be a player kind of talking to multiple NPCs. That literally looks like a loop. So the only way I could even rationalize the mod author having a loop is if he is using a function to test a condition that it wasn't necessarily meant to test. So is the player available? Are NPCs available? Let me pop a hello at them, and then if I get invalid reference or something weird coming back or something like that coming back, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to keep waiting until a particular time, because notice it's the same form type. I'm not sure what form type 78 is, but I do need to look that up. Okay, and that's pretty much every single time I get a crash for a loading screen. It is the exact same thing. Um, I still have the issue when I think I shot a ghoul. But what was interesting with this, during combat, I got showing condition. I have screen space modifiers applied when I get hit, and I can't remember if that's advanced need 76, because I got advanced need 76 in there, which is basically like a survival thing. I've got maim. I've got so I got headshots turned off in maim. I've got better locational damage. Headshots are enabled in that. Of course, I turn off combat conditions and things in Advanced Need 76. Plus, I got Pack Attack NPC in there, and I've got Combat AI empowered. So some of these mods overlap, but they do give me MCM options to disable certain functions. I can't say they work 100%. I do know there's something weird in the MCM where if, like, for example, if I disable sterile bandages, I think that's Advanced Need 76 from spawning. I will, even though it's turned off, I will still occasionally get those depending on if the VM gets janked in some way. Adding, removing mods, or some weird thing that janks the VM will literally, it somehow creates a condition where the MCM options are ignored. And I'm assuming that has to do somehow with references that the MCM might have, or a request for a reference. Somehow it fails or something weird. I've seen other people mention that there might be kind of a bug in that, and that might be what's causing it. So I have noticed that even though things are turned off, they do pop back up for some reason, even though you go in and look at them and they still are turned off. So I'm assuming it has to do with requesting a variable from the MCM. Okay, so what I did is I turned off long loading screen fix, and that unattaches the loading screen from I think it unlocks it from 60 frames a second, but it also has, if you look at it, it also has let's go ahead and take a look at show files. I can disable it now, but you can actually see where it also has a custom ini here. It's got like a little custom ini, which I don't know. I'm assuming that overrides the high physics fixed, and of course it has its own ini, which has a bunch of settings. Anyways, I disabled that, so you can see where that's disabled up here. And that's going to be my first check to see if I can figure out this loading screen thing. Like I say, it looks like a loop, and every time you look at this, let's take a look at, just keep looking at them, for example. I can't tell you if this is the same one, but you can actually see that it will always be the same thing. It's like it's stuck in this loop. So I'm not sure what this is looking at, or this form type, but that seems to be the source of the problem. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take long loading fix out, and therefore hopefully that won't interfere or try to be doing things, because I know some mod authors try to determine when a loading screen is in play. I remember the mod author of Condition Boy said he had a difficult time detecting a loading screen, because there's nothing, unless there's a new function that will actually say, okay, well, you're in a loading screen. Have a hard time detecting it. Therefore, I didn't want to have something else running in the background that would still try to be loading files and doing things while Reshade is going. I could go back and take a look at this and see if I actually installed this prior to having this problem, and that would be an indicator there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Another thing I wanted to show you was, if you go back up here, this is where it says game session here, right? All of these, from here down to here, are all the same game session. So it would all be part of this session here, this 2 hour and something session. And you can see where I actually wound up getting some suspended stacks. And if you take a look, I don't know, I'd have to take a look at the actual game saves and see where I was at the time. I believe these are backed off now, because it automatically backs it off. I've got it configured to back off everything after the game, after you exit the game. But I can actually look it up. I've got them archived off, but and I might do that in a little bit, so I don't drag this video out. But if you take it, we're going to take a look at the log detail. And this is going to take a moment to load because it has to go through a lot of data. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look. Now this is the window into this time period here. So what we're going to do is look up. Okay, and you can see. I'm curious, what is suspended? Okay, so in this case, we've got player comments, player comments, player comments. So it looks like for some reason this janked up. In this case, player comments is what got janked. And it looks like that for some reason it threw every conceivable thing at player comments. So I'm guessing what this does, if I think about this, is when you loot something, it calls player comments. So it's calling the player comment script to determine if it wants to randomly say something like, okay, cool, got that, oh yeah, heck yeah, things like that, you know, when you loot objects. And that's the only thing I can think of. So for some reason this all stacked up. Now I'm going to guess that maybe something is incompatible here, or there's some kind of conflict. I can see Fate actually tried to do a reload on the quest. Not sure what it's doing there, but Fate and player comments come up a lot on that. All right, so let's go down and take a look. That doesn't have anything with BLD, but there is actually a BLD in here somewhere. So I think this is the one, maybe. Let's take a look. And these logs get pretty big, so it takes a minute to actually sift through all the lines and give me the chunk that I need. Let's see now here. Now this is the one that's BLD. Now I think I was actually in Jamaica Plains killing a whole lot of ghouls. There's a lot of ghouls in there. I don't know why it would be on equip unless for some reason this is happening to a ghoul. I could probably go in and take a look at this reference here, see where it says reference ID, and I might do that. I think I'll do that next. I'll get the game started, and I'm going to look this up to see what this is pointing to, because this is actually, it looks like this went into an infinite loop, and that is what caused the stack. So this got stuck in an infinite loop, and this is the BLD system, remote actor on equip item, and that is why it suspended the stack. I'm not sure why or what that is, but I'm looking this particular, because that's all that is. So it looks like it gets stuck in a loop. Either it called itself, or for some reason it kept calling the same thing, and then that stacked on itself. It filled the stack up, and you had a suspended stack. Now if you go down past that point and you take a look, we're going to take a look at the latest, the last game. This is the last game save I should have. I only have 2 suspended stacks, and these actually stay in here. This could be left over from, and this could be the cause of the problem. So this could be something that is left over from where I went in and removed the better locational damage patches because I wanted Robco to handle that, or I'm assuming Robco handles that, you know, with it. The ini file and everything is in there, so I'm assuming Robco does that. It came with the better locational damage system, but this could be the problem, although I'm not sure which active script these are attached to. I wonder if it's this one here. I'm not really sure why this might have gotten terminated, but what I want to try to do, I wonder if I could terminate these. So I can only delete these. I'm going to go in and delete these, which is not a good idea because I need to find out exactly where they're stuck at. They've got to be one of these, perhaps. See, here's the player comment. It's got one frame zero attached. I'm assuming this is running in a loop, but I have to check on a new game to see if that's actually the case. Might not be a bad idea to start when I start a new game, actually look to see what is running uh, as soon as I come out of the vault to see if anything's actually running in a loop. Um, so yeah, that I'm not sure, but you can see that there is not a huge amount of stacked up frames. So it did clear itself out. So better locational damage did clear itself out, but it did get stuck in this loop. So I'm gonna load the game up and see what this reference is, and then I'll post that back here in a little bit to actually share that information if I can actually find that reference at all. Um, but that's where I'm at now. I've taken the loading screen thing out. I've removed all of the patches, the better locational damage patches I was using, because these should be outdated by now. And that includes this one here, the Super Mutant Redux, when I took that one out. That could be part of the problem, I'm not sure. I went in, now I did go in and dynamically regenerate the bashed patch and the sorter patch because Mater had put an update to his complex sorter. I did do this mid-game. I don't think that's what caused the stack problem, but it may change the base ID of certain forms or certain references. And these are just where I went in to do that. I uninstalled this because I no longer use it, and that's what that is. That's that change. I changed the Farragut expansion pack textures. I was using the one that came with FGEP, but I'm actually using the Zen version now. So there's not a lot of changes here. All right, so I'm still stuck with those two things. I actually got to play at least about 7 hours before it started barfing again. I'm back after making a change for loading screen. I'm actually back to about 4 hours. That's like about 2 hours and a half straight play without a crash. So fingers crossed, and I'm gonna see what this reference is, and I'll post back here shortly.